Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and forget about being the $1 billion man. Forget about even being the $1 trillion man. If you believe the reports, okay, and it looks like we should, $2.75 trillion is what Alex Jones could end. I don't even know how to say this. This is larger than the GDP of some countries. You might as well be asking for a gazillion dollars because we live in a cartoon. This is imagination land. There should have been a legitimate defamation case that was consolidated, in my opinion, to one class action lawsuit. And in no way, shape, or form should people like that FBI agent have been able to sue Jones as well. If the family members wanted a defamation case against Jones, okay, I get it. You know, I was having this conversation with my girlfriend the other day after we left the Reawaken America tour, and somebody had asked me about Sandy Hook and what I thought had happened there. And I said, look, there were certain things that really did need to be questioned. One of the things that didn't need to be questioned was the fact that those children were murdered and those parents were real. And I said that from the get-go, and I got a lot of flack from that. And people have to start being aware that in major events, okay, where things do need to be questioned, I would say that the Las Vegas shooting is another really great example of this, or the Boston Marathon bombing is another stellar example of this. Is there are legitimate questions to be asked, but people start poisoning the well with what? Crisis actors and people pretending to have been hurt or pretending to have died in order to what? Delegitimize any real questions or commentary that may actually lead people to investigate these things. That's where we're at. We have to understand that. So let's take a look at this. And what we're going to do in this broadcast, I've got 3 videos I want to play, okay? Because there's just so much that we need to be concerned with outside of this case. You want to talk about 2.75 trillion reasons to see through this lawsuit. This is about command and control. This is about taking hold of free speech and eventually criminalizing it. But in the meantime, utilizing lawfare to go after not only someone's finances, if you will, but also execute them in the court of public opinion. You want to devastate them financially. You want to make it so they can no longer join any platforms, which has already been done. But then you want to put them into the public arena as some kind of a pariah for the rest of their lives. All right? And obviously this has, in many ways, actually backfired on them in the case of Alex Jones. But these headlines are huge. So I'm going to show you a few stories that we should probably be more concerned about than Alex Jones. And we'll go to the videos at the very end of this. And I have a Biden video where it seems to be heavily edited. And it's one of his better performances with, MSNBC, which is only going to ask him fluff questions anyway, where he talks about how much he loves Liz Cheney, how this is a battle for democracy and decency and honesty, because Joe Biden has always been a decent, honest man, right? That was his MO all the time. He was the decent, honest politician. Give me a break. So we're going to start off with this nightmarish story, which says a lot about where our culture is at this point, okay? Vanellope's other long-term drag mom, this poor child, again, that is being abused, that Joe Biden is seeing people that are promoting the idea of trans kids. And again, this is a transhumanist agenda. They want you to totally and completely disassociate yourself from nature, from your biology, from any type of spirituality, in essence, that would also entail to get you to believe that you live in a multiverse or a simulation and that you can take on any form. You can be fluid. You can be non-binary. You're a computer program. You're an automaton. All right? So this person's drag mom, Kelsey M. Boren, who uses the stage name Always Craving. Always Craving. Isn't that great? Always Craving. Yeah, because I'm always craving child abuse. Was arrested and charged with 12 felonies related to making and distributing CP. These are the people that are so brave, so powerful. Oh my goodness. Okay? Here's one that slipped through the cracks. Now, this is yet another thing that Trump failed on. Trump was supposed to give us all of the JFK documents during his tenure as president in 2017. Didn't do it. Said we were going to get him 6 months later. We didn't get him again. Then it fell by the wayside. All right? And now we have a group who is actually suing the Biden administration. There were about 15,000 documents that still remained classified. 1,400 apparently were released in December of 2021. There was some interesting stuff in there about Oswald. I haven't gone through the entire trove, but one of the things that's very difficult about these is that you don't know if these are fully newly declassified or had been in the archives before but heavily redacted, and some of the redactions are gone. So people are still going through this stuff, but the bottom line is we were supposed to know 5 years ago. Okay? And I always argued this with Trump. If you can't expose the deep state, just expose the deep state from the 1960s when they shot a president in the face on national television, all right? And I know nobody saw that until Geraldo and in the 70s and that whole thing. But you did it in a space where everybody was watching, like 3 networks at the time, was all over the radio. Plenty of people were there with their cameras. Obviously, Abraham Zapruder was there filming the event. There's another film of the event where you don't see as much from another angle. All right? They're brazen enough to do this in broad daylight in front of people. You can't expose those people from the 60s. How in the world are you going to take on today's deep state or cabal? Instead, there's these psychological warfare programs out there telling everybody to trust the plan, okay? And that white hats are coming. No white hats are coming. Stop with the nonsense. We should be talking about this trial, and we should be talking about this gentleman. And it's not because this is an issue about race or even media manipulation. In my estimation, this case that we're going to go over right now with Darrell Brooks is about severe mental illness. And that severe mental illness is a continual problem in society at large. And there will always be a sect of the population that is crazy, because crazy actually exists. It's a thing. All right? And I know a lot of people want to focus on mental health. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to denigrate anybody who has suffered depression or other very real mental health problems, which the vast majority of human beings go through at some point in their lifetime, okay? There's no life out there that is continual sunshine and rainbows, happy times and unicorns, puppy dogs and gumdrops. You understand? There's always going to be tough times ahead and, difficult decisions to be made. And at times you're not going to feel good about the way things are going or the decisions that you made or where you are in life or maybe about the weather, right? There's really a spectrum of the things that you could be upset about. And I know there are some people that have clinical depression, etc. That's a whole nother argument. Number one, I'm here to tell you that I am extremely disturbed at the way the vast majority of it is handled, okay? I don't like SSRI drugs. Shocker. I know it's shocking. I don't like SSRIs. I think there's now enough evidence out there that they really don't help the problem at all, okay? And we haven't gone to the core issue. But we won't even ask the question on this person, whether they were on those types of drugs when they decided to mow into a crowd of people, killing six, and injuring dozens of other people. And of course, this is the Waukesha, Wisconsin, and this is what a crazy person looks like. Take a look. That's a crazy person. Now, this crazy person, at another time, is sitting there crying. He's manic, okay? There's another time he strips down, all right? And he goes into, addressing the jury. He's cut off his dreadlocks. Here he is stripping down during the court session. This is an insane person, all right? Now, this person, in my opinion, obviously needs to serve time, really the rest of his life, for killing people. There's no doubt about that. But we also cannot disassociate the fact he's a crazy person. Now, if you want to talk about media hypocrisy, had this person fit the description of a right-winger or a Republican, or even if he was a black man associated with Louis Farrakhan. In other words, if he hit one of the markers where they could associate him with some kind of domestic extremism, you would have heard about this case again and again and again and again. But instead, the stuff that he put out, while clearly mentally ill, associated him with what? The left, BLM, etc. And we don't associate those things with negativity in this country, period. And especially if you are part of the great narrative that they're putting forth. Now, let's talk narratives. Let's keep pushing on. Again, huge story. People really should be talking about it. This guy's obviously insane. So should still do life in prison. But we should be talking about what kind of medications he was on. What kind of warning signs were there before, his past criminal history, all those things. Here's a narrative that I've seen the past couple days that some people have done stories on. I wasn't that aware, but we're covering Ukraine, and that's going to be the first clip we play, where we now have U.S. ground troops fighting with NATO openly during this conflict on the border, right? Now, we've known about the mercenaries. We've been talking Elon Musk and the Starlink drones and the Blackjack DARPA program and the Ghost and Sidewinder drones. We're even talking about how now Iran has entered the mix. And we've talked about the head of the Russian space agency saying that they could nuke all NATO nations within 30 minutes. Now, I don't know much about this guy. He's an ex-professor in Moscow. I think he was part of the International Foreign Affairs panel. He's making a very, very bold claim here, and we're going to play the claim, that Vladimir Putin has already tried to test 2 nuclear missiles, not strike anybody, not start a war with strategic nuclear missiles, but has tried to execute 2 tests and then possibly use those strategic nukes after the test. But the insiders inside his government have basically thwarted him from doing so, all right? And on top of thwarting him from doing so, what have they done? They've said they were accidents. But if this happens a third time, all bets are off. Now, I don't even know if this story is real. I don't know who this person is. This screams to me of possible disinformation. Oh my goodness, Jason. Did you see disinformation? Malinformation? Misinformation? And by the way, over at YouTube, we don't even have 100 thumbs up, 177 people watching. Well, here's something, again, we should be keeping our eye on, because I don't want World War III. And again, we'll show you the ground troops in a minute. Then we're going to be talking about Assange. Then we're going to play the Biden clip over at, I believe, MSNBC, and how ridiculous that is. I don't think I can get through all of it. But he sounds and looks pretty good. Probably heavily edited, like I said, compared to other things. By the way, looks like we got a couple of Tipskis and Hutch on Rockfin. Elvis Oswald, I usually don't make predictions, but if we're not in a nuclear wasteland by 2024, my money says that Liz Cheney will be the Republican nominee running against Kamala and win. Yuck. Yuck. Let's hope not. Costello says Greenwald exposed that McConnell and company threatened to help with the impeachment from the GOP if Trump exposed the JFK files or released Snowden Assange. So I was looking for that story. It must only be on Substack. I didn't know that the JFK files were part of the impeachment. Again, they impeached the guy twice. He talked a good game. He should have stood up for Assange, who he said, love the WikiLeaks, can't get enough of the WikiLeaks. Have you seen the WikiLeaks? Okay? And he also promised us the JFK files. They impeached him twice anyway. You'd think after the second impeachment, at least he would have put all that stuff on the table and pardoned Assange. He failed then as well. So let's go to this insider, and so you can read this, see what he has to say about the Putski.
Решение об использовании тактического ядерного оружия. Оно, несомненно, встретит сопротивление. Я не знаю, насколько действенным окажется сопротивление. На протяжении последних 2 недель дважды должны были состояться ядерные испытания. Один раз в Баренцевом море, подводное, а второй раз подземное в Архангельской области. Оба раза испытания не состоялись. Дело в том, что перед запуском, использованием, точнее, тактического ядерного оружия, надо убедиться в том, что это оружие работает, что оно действует. Его надо было испытать. Так вот, оба раза испытания были сорваны. Президенту докладывали, что ситуация была нештатная, что вот не получилось. Он настаивает, чтобы было еще раз проведено испытание, а может быть еще не один раз. Но дело в том, что один раз это случайность, 2 раза это совпадение. Но, дорогие друзья, если и 3-й раз испытание закончится так же, то есть пшиком, мы можем уже, однако, с вами говорить или о тенденции, или о саботаже. Что такое невыполнение приказа Верховного?
So now they're saying, again, he's already tried to do it. I don't know that any of this is true. This is the guy that source is coming from. I know that Tim Cast and others have covered this story. All right, let's get into the videos. So once again, the U.S. is on the ground in this Ukrainian-Russian situation. It's going far past proxy war. All right, you could really say that it was never an actual proxy war because these are our weapons, our communication systems that are fighting the Russians. And how much are they going to take? Well, let's see if they're going to take the 101st Airborne.
Getting a look at the U.S. forces closest to the fighting in Ukraine, supporting NATO allies and sending a very clear message to Russia. Charlie D'Agata is in Romania for us this morning. Charlie, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. Romania is now home to the 101st Airborne Division. It's the first time it's been headquartered here in Europe in nearly 80 years. This is some of the equipment they brought from home, a 777 howitzer, ready to roll at any minute.
Just ready to roll at any minute. Isn't that lovely? Any minute, just ready to roll. NATO's frontline defenders. Now, here's actor John Malkovich articulating the correct assumption that if Julian Assange is extradited to the United States, he will not get a fair trial, as we have covered again and again and again and again on this program. They have, in this court, they want to have the hearings, 100% conviction rate. It's as absurd as the Alex Jones 2.75 trillion. You get it? You see where we're going? We're heading into full authoritarianism under the guise of saving democracy. And all the reporter, when we get to the Joe Biden thing, his second softball question is, I'm scared. I'm frightened, Mr. President. I'm so scared for democracy. Well, then you're softer than baby shit, bro. I mean, you literally, I know you're reading off a talking point. You don't actually feel that way. But my God, if you're scared for democracy, you should have been scared for democracy back when we figured out 9/11 was an international intelligence operation and both sides of the aisle refused to do a real investigation and supported the war of terror in the Middle East and supported the Patriot Act and Homeland Security and AFRICOM and the Syrian invasion. You get it? And what we're doing in Yemen, all the way through. We had a lot of opportunities to realize we didn't live in a constitutional republic where democracy ruled the land. Because if we did, the vast majority of us don't want to be at war. No, we want the actual war criminals to be held accountable. That doesn't happen. So here is Malkovich telling it like it is.
Because I don't find it very helpful find the issues and our information about various issues not always reliable. And in the case of Julian Assange, I very much hope the UK government might rethink their position about extraditing him to America, because I don't in any way believe he'd get a fair trial there. And
because he wouldn't.
If our governments were more honest and more forthcoming about their actions and their activities, probably there wouldn't be a need for journalists like Julian Assange to do what they do. But we all know that that is not the case, and they're not forthcoming.
Not only are they not forthcoming, they have a license to lie, a license to murder, a license to propagandize, a license to commit genocide. Forget about just forthcoming. They are as corrupt and evil as it gets when you get to the upper echelons of the military-industrial complex run by the predator class, John.
Nor honest about many, many things. And for me, it's quite critical to know what is done in my name. And that's why I would urge the UK government to revisit that decision.
Revisit it. Revisit it. I mean, I couldn't believe the first time when they said, you know what, we're not going to extradite Julian Assange, not because we think it's illegal, because, hey, we're authoritarians. We don't really believe in free speech. We don't like it when war criminals are exposed and then nothing's really done about it. They don't go to jail or anything, but it makes us look bad. It was none of that. It was that the United States isn't going to be able to keep Julian Assange alive. But once the United States said, oh no, we'll make sure that Mr. Assange is kept well and alive for his show trial, well, let's sign off on it then. And this is the biggest show we've ever seen in the United States in history in regards to the fact that Joe Biden runs the country. He is a dementia-ridden, poopy pants puppet of a president. And we're going to kick over to the MSNBC interview. We're going to see how far I can even take it, because I don't know how long I can take it, folks. I'm going to be very real with you. It might be a little difficult for me to do that part of the watch along. But get your questions and comments in, because we're going to go to you in a moment via YouTube. You know, you can skip the line if you are a subscriber over on Rockfin and you give me a super chat. And again, thank you, Elvis Oswald, and thank you, Costello. I'm going to have to check into that Greenwald story about the JFK and Assange stuff. I don't put it past him, but Trump should have been stronger. In fact, I was standing across the room from Eric Trump just this Friday, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm standing here. I actually talked to Roger Stone for 30 seconds. He preceded me before I put on my transhumanism presentation, and I quickly just said, hey, Steve Bannon just got 6 months. I know you don't like him, Roger. Or I'm sorry, 4 months out of the 6, and I guess it was recommended as 12. I'm not going to tell you about the whole exchange. It was rather short. But even Roger Stone, who is the godfather of modern-day lobbying, which might as well be modern-day lying in the political system, should do a lot of mea culpas for that. All right? A huge amount. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So let's get to the poopy pants puppet.
Mr. President, thank you very much for being here.
Happy to be with you, John.
Now, we're here at Delaware State University, where you talked about college affordability, your student debt relief program, and we'll get to that in a moment. But we got to talk about some of the big news today, the biggest being the January 6th committee.
A joke of a committee. Talk about a lie. To try to insinuate that an insurrection happened on January 6th is the big lie. But they want to tell you questioning an election, a presidential election, that's the big lie. They can't wait to throw out the term election denier, as you will see in this clip.
formally subpoenaed a former president, Donald Trump. There are a lot of issues involved here. Should he comply?
Well, look, I'm not going to opine on what he should do, but I think the committees handle it very well. And they've been straightforward and to the point, and it seems to me that would make sense, but I'm not going to get, because if I get in that, then they're going to, and it's, well, am I influencing the committee? And
You don't influence anything, Joe. You don't run anything. You read off a prompter. You're giving talking points. No one's going to think that. It's a mystery who actually is running your administration, because clearly it's not you, and clearly it's not Kamala Harris, period. All right? And I don't believe that this is the third term of Obama. Obama is another puppet, a better spoken puppet, okay? Somebody who came up as Barry Soetoro into Barack Obama and was taught how to speak and articulate oneself and put into a position of power in the Democratic Party as really a state senator, winning his first Senate election and then declaring he was going to run for president halfway through that first Senate term, after being made the keynote speaker at the Democratic National Convention in 2008. So a long line of puppets, guys. Long line of puppets. This is the most outward one.
the rest. So I've been very, very circumspect about anything I've been saying.
One more question on that, though. What would it say to the American people if he didn't testify, do you think?
First of all, as far as I've seen in media reports, Trump said he would testify as long as it's an open hearing. Shocking. Shocking. That's the last thing they want. They want a closed hearing where they can try to get him to say something that they could say he's lying on, and then open up yet another criminal investigation into him, as there's been a multitude. And again, this isn't, simping out for Trump. This is just the facts. If they did put him in an open hearing, now, don't get me wrong, it's not like this thing's gotten great ratings. They put him there, and guess what? It's going to get huge ratings because people actually care what he has to say. Now, they would try to manage whatever he had to say with edited clips, but would that work in their favor? Obviously not. So they're going to try to do a closed door hearing with the guy, and I wouldn't do that either, because then they're going to spin it any way they want. And on the flip side of that, although they want ratings for this show, I mean, it's a show. It's not even a trial. I don't even know what to call this thing. The January 6th committee. Talk about embarrassing. What a bad joke that is. But you put Trump out there in public, and again, it changes the game. It just makes him more popular.
Well, to a portion of them, they'd say, that's great. And to a larger portion, I think they'd say that was a mistake.
I totally disagree. Again, this is the illusion that somehow the vast majority of the American people are Democrats or anti-Trump or pro-Biden. Look, even the people in the middle, Joe, the people you talk about so much as the heart of this country, they don't like you. They don't like your administration. They don't like the inflation. They don't like that you renamed your Green New Deal, the Green New Steel, the Inflation Reduction Act. They don't like any of it, Joe. And it's the same talking points all the time. You get to the end of this, and I doubt we're going to get to the end of this. What's he talking about? Oh, Medicare can negotiate their prices with Big Pharma. We beat Big Pharma. You haven't beaten anything. Quite frankly, Joe, you're so old, I don't know if they stuffed Viagra down your throat, you could beat your meat, bro. Oh, did I say that? Is that okay to say? Oh, is he cyberbullying? I might be cyberbullying people. Let's continue with Joe.
Mr. President, I'll be honest. I'm scared.
That was anything but honest. That was the opposite of honest. I'll be honest. I'm scared. Look how frightened he is. I'm sure he's extremely frightened.
Millions of Americans are scared. They're concerned about the concerted attacks on democracy, on voting, and how that's going to impact the midterm elections.
These are all Bernaysian talking points. Millions of Americans are not really concerned with this. This is the contrived illusion of a great narrative to criminalize speech and utilize the infrastructure built post 9/11 with the Patriot Act, Homeland Security, the fusion centers, and now signature reduction, so that they can be turned inward on the vast majority of Americans, not in general like the majority, but the majority of Americans that have stepped up to the plate and started questioning these lies and saying they're going to get involved in local politics, in their school boards, in their communities. They are going to become pollsters. They are going to demand one person, one vote. Okay? They want accountability from the leaders that have led us not only astray, but into dire straits as a country. That's the reality. But this guy's I'm scared, Mr. President. Let me be honest. This guy doesn't know how to be honest. He's sitting there with Joe Biden in a pre-taped interview where obviously they had to edit this thing heavily, because when you watch Joe Biden talk for 3 minutes, he can't get off 3 sentences without stumbling. Period. He can't. He hasn't done it yet. We cover it all the time.
We're seeing everything from Governor DeSantis's election police force arresting people for alleged violations of voter fraud. We're seeing...
don't uphold the law. Don't do that.
Election workers quitting because of threats. And then on top of it, you've got election deniers up and down the ballot.
Up and down people questioning an election deniers. Remember they were trying to say 9/11 deniers? Let me tell you what that is a tool of. That is trying to get the normal person, again, Bernaysian propaganda style, to associate them with Holocaust deniers and anti-Semites. All right, that's exactly what that is. They want you, because again, Biden in this one, he brings up Charlottesville again. Oh, the Charlottesville thing. And the hoax that Trump said that basically Nazis were good people. When he was talking about not the people with the tiki tortures. I mean, how many of those people, were feds in the first place? The "you will not replace us" morons. But let's lump them in with the other people that just came to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't take down this statue. You know, not people that were marching and hailing and calling for white supremacy. No. We're going to go with that. And there's, you want to go back to the beginning of this broadcast when we talk about quote unquote crisis actors poisoning the well. There was a contingent of people that tried to delegitimize the death of that woman in Charlottesville and claim the same exact thing. When I'm telling you that woman in Charlottesville also, again, hit by that car, real deal, not fake. By the way, 134 likes, almost 300 people watching. Let's get 200. Let's continue with Joe Biden and his response about the election deniers.
Running for election, a good chunk of them could win. So why shouldn't we be scared?
Well, I think we should be concerned. Look, there's nothing automatic about democracy. Remember when you're in undergraduate school, they talk about every generation has to protect democracy.
And we've failed, Joe. That's how you got here. Let's be honest. We've failed as that generation. All right, period. We have.
Well, it really does. And I think we're at one of those inflection points in history where we've reached a point where there has been such a division that you have what I call the mega MAGA Republicans who are think that it's all right to threaten violence, think that's not inappropriate, talk about how they are concerned about security, but yet you saw what happened on January 6th. The whole world saw it.
Yeah, basically, a overblown Dave Matthews Band concert type atmosphere where there was some violence, 100% in the beginning and even on the second levels there, and those people should be prosecuted that committed violence. But in large part, the people that you have demonized that walked into the Capitol as they were waved in, like the QAnon shaman, the Muffin Man, the guy who stopped people from eating muffins out of an office. That's the face of your insurrection. Okay, look, that interview goes on another 9 minutes. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I can't do it. Instead, we're going to go to your questions and comments down the line. Sweaty Zombie, $2.75 trillion First of all, is hilarious. What an absolute abuse of the justice system. I don't think this is even legal what they're doing to him. Axe murderers get better treatment. And again, you'll hear about Alex Jones as if he is a murderer. You won't hear about the case in Wisconsin where a mentally insane man is going on court tirades, stripping down, killed 6 people, and injured dozens of others. That's less important than demonizing Alex Jones because it's about criminalizing speech, trying to take down an actual news network that is part of the zeitgeist of questioning authority. Far from perfect. Far from a perfect outlet. But compared to other media organizations, I mean, give me a break. Compared to CNN or MSNBC, give me a break. It's not even close. Shouldn't the liberals fund AJ now in order to help the SH profiteers? I mean, family members. Again, I'm not going to, look, I can't imagine what it would be like. Oh, there's a huge jump, by the way. What it would be like to lose my child, period. I'm not here to demonize those family members. If we go all the way back to the beginning of the program, I said, look, if they were going to have a class action lawsuit because of some of the things that he said or promoted, first of all, it should have been consolidated. He should have been able to present evidence, and there should have been the proper caps on monetary compensation, especially since we're talking about a free speech issue and only one of the people out of the family members had actually been named, period. That's all I can say. Let's see. He just doesn't have trillions. If they claim inflation isn't happening, that defeats the notion. He should be charged $11.7 quadrillion million. Not enough, I say. Indeed. Not in this lifetime, buddy. The premise threatens the freedom of democracy on every human on the planet. This is the future the globalists want to create. Yes, they want to create a system that even if you are not breaking laws and you do something they don't like, they deplatform you, they debank you, and then they go after any other wealth you have through lawfare and continual lawsuits. Hey, how we doing, Karen? What up, JB? Here we go. Bermas Brigade. What are we doing, Scott? Hope you're all doing well. I hope you guys are doing well. By the way, we got an exclusive over at both Rockfin and Rumble with Jason Dean over at the Reawaken America Tour. I would have put up my presentation from the Reawaken America Tour, but there was like a glitch going on at the end of the Roger Stone presentation into the beginning of my presentation where it skips every few seconds for like the first 2 or 3 minutes of the presentation. Kind of bummed me out. If, in fact, Clay fixes that issue and puts it out individually, I will be sure to post it. But I hope that some people did tune in. I hope some people also showed up for the presentation. Big turnout there. Big turnout. And when I'm speaking, I mean, you should see the looks on people's faces. You should see the looks, because I'm not Eric Trump. I'm not Roger Stone. I'm not one of the preachers or Christian conservatives that's coming out there. I'm coming out full force in under 15 minutes with the facts, Jack. And we went from transgender to transhuman, the actual agenda. Alex Jones did nothing wrong. Hey, Karen, ridiculous. What the hell? Ain't no hat these days, folks. Ain't no blue hats? I don't know. It's ridiculous. We'll probably go to the Supreme Court. It might end up going to the Supreme Court. You know, but again, we have a Supreme Court that said the United States people didn't have, and states didn't have standing to look at the evidence to question the election. We didn't have standing to look at the evidence anymore. So I'm not banking that the Supreme Court's going to be our savior. God almighty. Criminals are running the world. So Shady Hook was, nope. No, there weren't crisis actors. I'm sorry. Yes, and the school was there more than a month before. 100%. That's people that didn't do their own research and listen to lunatics. When I say we, myself and other honest people, a year after the event, there was a huge data dump of video footage and photographic evidence that correlated with a lot of this stuff. And I did a multitude of videos then with legitimate questions about what happened that really didn't get any traction because there were so many people that were believing the lies and the fantastical. Again, poisoning the well. Let's see what we got. Ian, He says, let's see, Alex Jones stole the $2.3 trillion from the Pentagon. Of course, the reference is the $2.3 trillion that was supposedly missing from the Pentagon just a day before 9/11 that Donnie Rummy Rumsfeld talked about. This and Steve Bannon being sentenced. Several celebrities have been held in contempt of Congress but served no time. Thanks, Scott. Why should he pay the market value of Microsoft? What a complete load. That's crazy. It's crazy. Jones should sue for them now defaming him. I mean, he does need to start suing people, but good luck. The Las Vegas shooting. No, Chris. That's absolutely 100% not true. That's ridiculousness. I watched plenty of videos where that was not the case. Again, did a lot of work on that one. And for me, the evidence showed me that at the very least, it looked like there were several different hotels, the Bellagio. There was an incident outside. The Tropicana, there may have been an incident inside. It looked like an arms deal gone bad, all right, with a multitude of actors later on. No one ever explained the massive amount of tannerite in the truck that belonged to the individual Paddock, Stephen Paddock, who they labeled as the sole person behind this thing. Lots of unanswered questions there. What wasn't a question is that people got shot. Period. Did I mention you look great in blue? Are we talking about the blue jacket that I was wearing at the presentation, or was I wearing a blue shirt? Are you not talking to me, Scott? Tough for me to tell. They also subpoena Trump, trying their best to use justice system as their own private weapon. Correct. Keep awakening the naive. People want to monetize their suffering for revenge against their feelings being hurt. Outlies and evil. Oh, wow. 2.75 trillion. That's quite a bit. Yes, it is. Biggest snooze. Bermas Brigade. Love you guys. So insane. With Bannon being sentenced, we are officially in a place worse than a totalitarian regime. I would say we're parallel with totalitarian regimes. You know, I just saw this video of the former president in China being escorted out next to President Xi in their public political arena. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know enough of the history, and they said he wasn't feeling well, but he grabs Xi and another individual and starts talking to him like, what's going on? And we're not that far away from something like that happening. You know, some people said that it was done just as a display of power by Xi, who's about to get his third term as the president and more than likely become a lifelong dictator. You know, we love lifelong dictators. They're the best. Yay! 20 years ago, $1 billion lawsuit would be laughed out of court. Correct. Oh my God. Yes. Faux transcendence. This is that moment Dr. Evil gets laughed at, but no one's laughing. I'm not laughing. Well, color me surprised. Sickening. Yep. Buy me a coffee, guys. The links are down below. Buy me a coffee is a great way to directly donate. $5, $10, $15 big donations. They mean the world to me. Also, there's a Red Voice Media exclusive up right now with Thomas Renz. We spend almost an hour with Thomas Renz. We talk about his new lawsuit, DARPA, and so much more. Only available over there. And every 2 weeks, the exclusive goes free, which is awesome. So the Craig Pasta Jardula interview is now free over at Red Voice Media. But if you go to redvoicemedia.net/Jason, there it is right there, redvoicemedia.net/Jason, and you sign up for just $1, that helps support the broadcast as well. It becomes $10 a month, or you can sign up for $100 for the year. And we are going to be doing the 4-day-a-week show, Monday through Thursday. I believe it's going to be 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I ain't fooling. It's really happening. I'm on a plane on Tuesday back home. I want to lock it in, and I'm hoping the following Monday we're going to start that up. But no promises yet. But Red Voice Media is where there's going to be a lot of exclusive daily content via the Bermas Brigade. Let's see. He's talking about the JFK documents will be redacted and blacked out. The mob was responsible for JFK and RFK's assassinations. Not really. There was definitely some intertwining of the mafia, JFK and RFK, but the mafia in general is a tool of the Federal Bureau of Investigations and what will become the deep state, period. They are probably who is hacking my phone and computers with NSO and SIM swapped my electronics, SIM card, and destroyed my computers and phones, hijacking my accounts with my cult of a church. No idea what we're talking about there, Christina Turner. None. Trump's all part and parcel of the whole pathocracy, well orchestrated. I went to Dealey Plaza during the stay home, stay safe. I could have made that shot. Again, I think that a lot of people don't understand that Oswald was not as who he was portrayed and may have very well been a part of the whole thing. I mean, again, this is a guy that was going back and forth to Russia. This was a guy with Central Intelligence Agency and FBI ties. This is a guy who was openly military. All right? Very smart guy. So to say that he had nothing to do with it, I think is also kind of naive. Definitely set up as the fall guy. Trump and Biden both breached my identity. Again, Christina, we're sounding kind of schizophrenic. Nailed it, JB. White hats is Johnny nonsense, damn straight. Let's see, especially the rulers. They call people crazy that tell the truth. Psychopathic narcissists. Jason, you are crazy if you're living in reality. Well, again, they're trying to disassociate us from reality to go into VR, the virtual reality that they create, this metaverse, to eventually get us to the virtual age where they can trick us into giving up our biological identity, our spiritual reality, and believe that we can somehow clone our minds or upload our consciousness into a machine. Gross. I'm not interested. No, thank you. No, thank you. Gumdrops are yummy. Yes, they can be. I don't see how Oswald did the shooting, left no fingerprints, as was on the second floor drinking a Coke when all this supposedly went down. I don't know that he shot the kill shot or one of the shots either. SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Someone's telling us to microdose mushrooms. We are the white hats, yet they convince us that the heroes are elsewhere. Wait, do nothing. Help is on the way. Exactly. We have to be our own heroes. We have to be involved. Prozac, etc. There must be more to it than one man. There absolutely is more to it than one man if we're talking about JFK, MK Ultra. I mean, I think that those type of programs definitely need to be looked at. Artichoke is another one. Bluebird is another one that preceded MK Ultra. The Alex Jones case is an assault on the freedom of press. I agree. Kennedy wanted to dismantle the CIA, amongst many other things the deep state could not accept. Of course they assassinated him. Let's see. There is a large swath of the population who are so mind-controlled that they have no idea they are MK Ultra slaves. They're under psychological warfare constantly. You know, we all have our blind spots, myself included. Nobody knows everything. We've all succumbed to some type of subliminals. That's a reality. I'm going to check really quick if I've missed any super chats over at Rockfin. Rockfin, another great way to support me. Rockfin.com/Jason Bermas. $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. That locks it in. That's another great way for us to do this. Okay, we do have another one. Kyle Kokum. Bermas, I trust you will donate this to Poppy the Poopy Pants Puppet 2024. Long live the king. Don't let me down. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be giving any money to to the Poopy Pants. That's just me. Okay, so there was only one that we missed. That's good. We're going to go back. We're going to take another question and comment. Get it up to 200 likes. Can we do that, folks? Can we do it before we end the broadcast? Because we're coming up on it. If you got time to watch JFK to 9/11, Everything is a Rich Man's Trick, seen it many years ago. I'd say JFK to the Bush connection's really interesting as well. Brooks isn't crazy. Brooks is a malignant narcissist and a psychopath. No, he's a crazy person. He's a crazy person. It's more than a malignant narcissist and a psychopath. Just to do that, you have to be a crazy person. To kill children like that indiscriminately, you have to be a crazy person. To strip down in a courtroom afterwards, you have to be a crazy person. To stare at a judge in that manner after murdering people, you have to be a crazy person. Crazy exists, Ryan. We're going to have to disagree. They gave my little dog Prozac when what he really had was an ear infection. My God, Jan, that's terrible. I wonder if somebody else identified as Brooks, they'd convict him. Oh, he's going to get convicted. I watched some of the Brooks trial. It's the greatest train wreck in history. I'm sure it's very tough to watch. Let's see. Dang Jan. Insane but crazy like a fox, there is a method to his madness. And Farrakhan does have some good points. I've spoken at a Nation of Islam church in the past where it was in Boston, where we screened Loose Change, second edition, I think it was. I don't know that it was the final cut. I'll speak to any group. That's why I'm on this Reawaken America tour. I'm trying to reach as many people with my message as possible. And my message is this. There is no real left or right. There is right and wrong. And there is a predator class out there that is now trying to consolidate power in the name of the Great Reset, the New World Order, a great narrative, which is a collectivist authoritarian agenda that pushes through transhumanism into what they hope to be a post-human future for the majority of us while they try to biologically live forever. That's the reality. And what I need you guys to do is to check out my documentary films. They are free of charge. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. Check me out over at Rumble. Like I said, we got a brand new one, Self-Replicating Nanotech and Transhumanism with Dr. Jason Dean. That is exclusive to Rumble. And you betcha, Rockfin. That's also right here. You can buy me a coffee. By the way, we're 68,000 plus strong. We're going to surpass YouTube in the next month on Rockfin alone. Rumble is where you see everything live free. But if you are a subscriber right now and you are watching on Rockfin, I want to thank you guys so much. I couldn't do it without you. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. And folks, I got a big day tomorrow. Lots of interviews. I got an early morning with Jay Slay in the USA. That should be a really interesting one. We're doing Mixed Martial Mindset for the first time in 3 weeks with John Fitch, and I'm a guest on another program. So we'll see you on the flip.